a thing of the past with GPL. And more so, GPL used to run on its own. Ashley Singh, you, Brasington and Barra Jagdeo come back, and instantly blackout began throughout the length and breadth of this country. And most importantly, Mr. Singh, the nation didn't hear every year billions of their taxpayer dollars going to fix or repair the GPL. But every year under the PPP, you were the finance man. Check and see how many billions you pump into GPL every year. And that is what you should come and tell the nation. Don't abuse down and cost down the coalition. Whether them did a study to and know that the hydro was the right thing. Again, the hydro is the right thing. But at what cost? We are not that dumb, dotish or stupid to know that we can get hydro megawatts half the price and allowing you guys to rip off this nation. No way I will sit quiet and allow that to happen. What I want to say, uncle and auntie, under the PPP, they proper do themselves with GPL. The same way they do themselves with Gaisuku. Throwing in billions upon billions, all in the name of resolving blackouts, and we got to take care of the cane cutters. That is what they were saying all the time. Milking Guyana pocket on them two projects. Man, if you just check the money, Jagdeo and Ashley Singh them spent or pump into them two places. All them cane cutters where you see their home now would have been millionaires by now without having to enter the cane fields of this country or worry where their next meal for their children will be coming from. And as for GPL, oh, every latrine would have had electricity in every corner of the 83,000 square miles with hydro or better yet solar power in this land with the amount of money they have spent on GPL. Let me move on though. Guys, because of their cunning, devious, untruthful, and greedy ways, this richly blessed country is still being seen as one of the worst, or I should say the most run-down nation on earth. Yes, that's how we are seen. All over the world you go. You go to your sister and brother countries nearby. Blackouts all over, man. They're in the hotels and some of the generators doesn't kick in. They say, wow, this is not Guyana, man. Yeah. One of my friends stayed in a hotel, whole night was blackout. Wow. The man shame, he said he'd never come back. Guys, Ashley Singh said, the PPP promised in their manifesto, when they go back in office, they will restart the hydro project. Joshua, you listen to his words? The PPP promise, not he. He wasn't living in Guyana, in this country during the campaign. He had a nice fat job in the Maldives. Yep. Them left this country. As soon as they can't get no big buy position, you think they care about me and you? No. Them disappear. Brasington was the same one. Matter of fact, when they lose the elections, 2015 elections, where was he in Brasington?
Out of the country.
Yeah, man, run away, left Guyana. Brasington said in court he was working in the US. Now he telling we the hydro project was in the PPP manifesto. Mr. Singh, Ashley Singh, just in case you don't read it, see it or know about it, renegotiation of the Exxon contract was in the manifesto too.
Of course.
I hope the nation get an 11-minute video on this one, seeing you are so boastful, talking about the hydro project in the manifesto.
Exactly.
You can remind Jagdeo and Winston Brasington that renegotiation is in the PPP manifesto too.
And that was the most important single aspect of it.
Exactly, that's the most important thing to Guyana and this region. Uncle, the man said that we give commitment to the people of Guyana that on return to office, we will resume work on the Amelia Falls project. Not a soul have a problem with that, Mr. Singh. I'm going to repeat it again. What Glenn Lall and every citizen of this country is concerned about is the deal, brother. Yes, the deal. The deal Guyana is giving away to the owners of the project, the private owners. And what the citizens of this country, yes, the brown, black, and yellow people is left with. That's our primary concern, Singh. And that is the song I want you to sing to the nation. Sing it by name. Don't tell us, but PNC and AFC lash down these projects. No. Tell us what is there for us. Yes, you're proud to tell Guyana at the completion of this project, our country can receive the benefit of electricity generated by Amelia Falls. Mr. Singh, every Guyanese knows once the project is completed, electricity will come here. You're not going to remind us or tell us that.
5 months a year.
We want to know the cost. And why do Guyana have to tie itself down to a price with a private company for 20 years? These are the things I, Glenn Lall, want to know. And what every Guyanese should want to know too. This is a competitive world we live in, Ashley Singh. And electricity generation is already a competitive and lucrative market. Everybody can generate electricity these days, and far cheaper than what you guys going to tie this country down to. Is this a Chinese deal, Mr. Singh? Mr. Jagdev and Brasington? It doesn't seem so. Not with the way, spirit and energy you guys fighting for this project with. No, no. Auntie, if you know your electric bill can be half of what you're going to pay here for the next 20 years, you going to bind yourself to a deal like that, man? Huh? Uncle? This is not a deal of a lifetime. This is not a sweetheart deal, plain and simple. This is one of the worst deals. These three chaps want to shove down we throats. And guess what? The people who own it ain't got no risk, uncle. The people who will be making the billions in the US dollars off your pockets have no risks. All the major risk is thrown on Guyana. Me and you back. Yes. Our shoulders it's thrown on. So you have a double whammy on your hand. You would be paying for a higher cost of electricity if this project is carried through, and if it disappears from Earth, you better find all the Chinese money for pay them. They said they spend on it. That's the kind of guarantee. Them three chaps, this Ashley Singh, Jagdeo, and Brasington tying this country down to. To come tell us that misinformation campaign with this project has started again? Man, Ashley Singh, you got to come better than that. You guys got to come. You got to come back with the, you guys come back with the same Ponzi scheme on the nation again. But this time the nation eyes open. Yes. We are beginning to see much more clearer as to what you guys are planning on our shoulders. Auntie, Ashley Singh ended his 11 minutes nonsense abusing the naysayers like the Lalls on the project and the APNU, AFC about their incompetence and bankrupt ideas. He said the coalition, the PNC and the AFC at the time had no development. Under them, there were no development. Ashley Singh, you may be right, you know, because the airport project was you and Jagdeo. That same airport project that the coalition go in and meet up with. The hub that the two of you say, y'all building that will hub Africa, or Africa will hub the two of you. That have this country in nearly 200 million American dollars debt. That God knows when it gonna finish and when we gonna begin to pay that debt. And the many other dirty, nasty and stinking projects I am too ashamed to begin to name here. I have spoken many times on them, man, that you guys put down in this country. I can list 1,000 of them. And you got the nerve to say the naysayers. I am one of them, and I am ready for this fight, Ashley Singh. I am ready to stand up and defend my position, my rights, and that of the people of this country with those projects and this project. You want to take me on? Come on board. Come join me on this radio. I'm begging you, man.
Exactly.
Don't run and call a man and say video me and talk one couple minutes from a prepared speech. Come and let us have these discussions here so I can ask you questions. But you wouldn't come. You want how far I'm going to push it, Ashley? I'll give you, and I'll get help from the members of the public. I'll give you $1 million to come sit down with me 1 hour on this project. I'm paying you. Your salary can't pay you that in an hour. You ready to take me on? You, Jagdeo or Basington? Uncle, Ashley Singh spoke for 11 minutes on that hydro. And guess what? And then Jagdeo jump up on the same bandwagon in a sit-down interview with his usual clown, running from the press and you the people. Yes, he sit down with that clown and talk for 56 minutes 2 days ago. A few of the 56 minutes was on the hydro deal, and the rest was his usual self, abuse and cussing down the coalition and the naysayers too on the hydro project, and nothing whatsoever on our oil resources of this country were he heading. Can you believe that, Mr. Ray? 56 minutes this man talk about, sit down with a clown 2 days ago, and not a single thing the man talk about the oil. I really don't know what President Ali got this man doing there. This country is losing billions daily in every avenue you could think of, and you hear nothing from this man or any of the leaders of this country. Father above, come down quick, man, and help the people of this country. We need you now, more than ever, my friend. Joshua?
Yes.
Play that next tape. I want to play next piece of tape for you to listen to. Please listen carefully from the mouth of Bharat Jagdeo, play him.
There is much to be said on the ground about a number of different things that we will cover this afternoon.
Sure.
But I want to go head on into the Amelia Falls project.
Okay, so what in particular would you like to hear about Amelia's?
The Amelia Falls project has been one that has been set up in the past by the PPP to alleviate energy woes in Guyana.
Yeah.
That was brought down in the past, again, by the previous government, who is now in opposition. We see that a number of projects have been held back by now opposition, and we see the loss of benefit to Guyanese.
Sure.
Like,
I get the drift.
fortunately, Marriott went through, and we see the good use of Marriott now.
So
Once again, an attempt is being made to bring down the Marriott. Suggestions are being made that Chinese companies are getting all of these projects, the Amelia Falls likewise. So
Sure.
please explain, what is the government's position on that, and why is it still viable for Guyanese?
So we believe in total transparency surrounding this project. We have had maybe 10,000 pages of extensive studies done on this project. The hydrology risk, the economic model, the environmental impact, design standards, and these were all led by one of the biggest companies in the world, the Blackstone, a subsidiary of the Blackstone Group, which, and you know, Blackstone is a major American company. That company, after doing all of these studies, committed to building the project and selling power to the government of Guyana. There was a lot of discussions in the public domain by the newspapers, particularly Kaieteur News, and then the opposition, claiming that the project was not good for Guyana. They argued that the project would entail borrowing $2 billion US dollars, including when people like Clive Thomas and others, $2 billion US dollars. The fact of the matter is that it was zero debt. There was a contingent liability where we had to guarantee paying for the power, but no debt on the project itself. That was a lie number one. Lie number two was that the cost of power will increase. The fact of the matter is that we are selling power at 30 US cents per kilowatt hour, close to maybe 60 Guyana dollars per kilowatt hour. We were going to buy power at that time from the Blackstone or the Site Global at about 10 cents per kilowatt hour, 1/3 of the price that we were selling power at to the people of this country, that is GPL selling power to. The fact that we could have sold the power at 15 cents per kilowatt hour and cut the price by 50% had that project gone through. That was line number two. If you read the newspapers, you will see it, Kaieteur News and the others. Three, that there would be a hydrology risk, that we'd have drought or the river will run dry and the project will be stranded. That is why they're building a massive reservoir. So you store water in the reservoir. So when we have like a dry season, or so when the volume of water doesn't come, you have enough water in the reservoir to continue generating power. And that is why the model, the financial model and the feasibility study was done only on a 72% use of the capacity of the power plant. So it catered for periods of like with less rainfall, etc. Now, clearly this is a risk anywhere in the world. If rain stopped falling for 5 years in the future, you wouldn't have any power. But the hydrology risk was built into the model. Now, notwithstanding all of that, APNU voted to kill the project. So that's where we are now moving forward. But again, we start, the hydrology risk. I see some people, Kaieteur News, talking about hydrology risk. And I'd urge people, yesterday I asked Ashley Singh to put a press release out. Read the press release and you will see the details on the hydrology risk. Now, clearly these naysayers, they will never do anything to develop a major project. I see Christopher Ram, the same person who was questioning the Marriott project that you see liming around the Marriott conveniently now. He's a specialist on the hydro now again. And you know what this all came? None of them were talking about the hydrology risk. At that conference, Brassington gave a detailed presentation and he mentioned the hydrology risk. We're not in the business of hiding things from our people.
Guys, well, you've heard our Vice President. He jumped in the fray. But when you listen to the question that was asked and how it was asked and the answer Jagdeo gave, you don't have to go to school to understand that the interviewer had to memorize that question to ask him, because part of the answer to the question is what you would have heard from Jagdeo. He put it in to the question. It's like somebody bringing food to you. What you tell them I have to bring? Oh boy. What his sidekick, critic, guys should have asked him is about the oil. Or when he talk about the Marriott Hotel, you should ask him who are the private investors lay like snake in the grass inside that project. That is the question, Mr. Jagdeo. Whether Christopher Ram like it now or no, that's not our issue. Whether Lall go there to have dinner or not, it's not the issue. At the time when it was built, hadn't we found oil, Mr. Jagdeo? You know, you were in power. The Marriott Hotel could not even pay GPL the light bill. And that is factual. That's not misinformation. That is what you need to tell the nation, Jagdeo. And also tell the nation again who are the private players inside. Now you're gone mouthing down poor Christopher Ram. That's how he was one of the naysayer in the Marriott Hotel. All of us were, including myself. Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's not a nice hotel. Thank God oil fine in this land. That y'all could make money to make a few cents for Guyana and the private players. Yeah. Mr. Critic, you should ask him about the oil. That he is in charge of, not the hydro. He is not in charge of hydro, but he found him out inside because it was in his mind 15 years ago. I wonder what he's getting personally out of this one too. May I ask you? Huh? He went on repeating almost everything Ashley Singh said. He talked about the company Blackstone, who was the investor back in 2015. And because of the naysayers like Kaieteur News and the opposition, the project collapsed. He said back then was 10 cents per kilowatt. And we still had to put in money into the project. But today, we're not putting in any money into the project. And the price is 7.7 cents per kilowatt. Uncle, where does that ever happen in the world where prices go down? Can anybody tell me that?
Nowhere in the
Huh? Man, not even for love. You know what I'm talking about, Miss Harris? prices go down there? Huh? 15 years after, this conniving individual is telling the nation the price now is 7.7 cents, not 10 cents. You see what they were going to do to you? He said the naysayers is saying the cost of power will increase. And that is not so. That's what he said there, right? Yeah. Well, Mr. Jagdeo, you need to come back, come sit down on my program and explain to the nation what risk number 8 in Brasington's document means. When it says risk of GPL revenue not sufficient to meet PPA obligations. Guyana, GPL, and consumers is obligated. What that means, Jagdeo? Obligated. Uncle? It means if GPL can't find the 111 million US yearly to pay the company, Guyana, the country Guyana, GPL, or the consumers' pockets got to feel it. How they gonna get your money? Them gonna rob your house. Eh? No, man. Them gonna rob your house. They're gonna increase your bill to meet the payment, or everybody tax-paying dollars will have to go there to meet the payments to the Chinese company. Have a good night, Ray. Yes, that is what Jagdeo should come and explain to this nation. That was one of his lie. Here, lie number 2 from Jagdeo. Misleading mouth. The hydro risk. What happened Guyana back? He said the Chinese gonna build a massive reservoir if there's no rain to store water to generate electricity. Yes. Well, Mr. Jagdeo, if the people gonna build a massive reservoir to generate electricity, why is there even a risk in the first place? Much less that risk is thrown on the people of this country. Huh? Critic? You must ask that question to him the next time you are cozying up together. That's the question you should ask him. And Critic is not no dummy, you know. He's a smart guy. But you know when people like hang their mouth? Yes. And the way he hang him out. Mr. Jagdeo went back to repeat the Norway story like Ashley Singh. The man said he is not hiding anything from the people of this country, uncle. What happened to our oil, Mr. Jagdeo? If you're not hiding anything from this country, oh, please tell us something about our oil, na man. We have 1 trillion questions, not 1,000, 1 trillion for you. Come out. Why are you running with a clung in a corner to talk the nation's business? Come out in the open. Talk to the general press and answer legitimate questions and concerns about the nation's patrimony that President Ali put you in charge of. Uncle, he said on the program, and I am saying it here on public television, his words, and I am saying it here on public television. He's getting confused between a man with a phone doing social media as to a real TV studio with real journalists. You heard him, he said that when he was talking to that clown. This vice president sit down for, like I said, for 56 minutes, and none of the 4 newspapers in this country reported to the nation anything of what he said. I really need the Creator in our lives now. Nothing. Nobody reported anything the vice president said for 56 minutes. Isn't that a message to the vice president, Mr. Ray? And Miss Harris?
Yep.
Wait, this man can't see that he's making a fool of himself in Guyana these days? Huh? President Ali, if you mean well for this country, if you want the people of this country to inherit the things the Creator blessed us with, if you want to be a man that comes out with a good name in the history books, please, I beg you, brother, send these 3 people on a permanent vacation. Yeah, man. That's the only way you will go down into the history books with a good name, my friend. With that, I say no more, Guyana. God bless you. And thanks for listening. I'll see you back on Monday. God spare life. Josh?
Thank you very much for your
We'll take the
presentation
calls.
tonight, sir. Those telephone numbers are 226-7453 and 226-7454. We have a caller here on the line already. Caller, good evening and welcome to the Glenn Lall Show.
Hi, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Please lower the volume of your radio, please.
Okay, just a minute, please. Banner should go land the way. The only way to go and put a big massive protest in the town and let these banners give up these seats. Because since over 50 years, these banners got people, this country brain drain running all over the country, New York, Suriname, looking for betterment and all these betterment there. I think these banners should go land the way now. They have over billions in their pocket.
How much people you will bring out in the streets?
Me, I come out there every day. I there by big market there every day. It's
How
not
much
nothing
people
out there.
you will bring out into the streets?
I telling Guyana let the year go Guyana because I come in plus my whole family and everybody come in. You understand?
Thanks.
Like Guyana, every day they by big market selling there, nothing selling out there. The people them sit down with their business and then you don't see nobody coming to the stand. So I tell some of them like just now what time coming, they gotta lock up these things and hit the streets.
And every day, this country is losing millions upon millions of US dollars.
Watch from 3 o'clock in Regent Street, them store empty, nobody, just the owner, nobody in there for buy. I go off and if them and seeing what's going on. What could bring out this nation more fast than what's going on here?
I don't know, brother.
The British time, since the British left, these banners just keep robbing. We are the time 10 now. It start from Bornholm time coming down right down.
I will just try to educate all of you with a little I know. That's all I can do. All right?
Nothing going on out there, pressure going on out there, people are coming out in the streets. I want to know what they're waiting for.
I hear you, brother. Thanks a lot. Share the message too.
Good.
Thank you very much, caller.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Harris.
I think we should have another protest, you know. I think at the hearing of the case that you brought against Exxon, we should have a protest on Wednesday, the 10th, isn't it? The 10th of March.
The 10th is Thursday.
Thursday, sorry, my apologies. The Thursday, the 10th of March, I think we should pick it outside of the High Court. So those who
right.
want to pick it, let's pick it.
Yes, I don't mind.
The 10th,
I
we
don't
should.
So the President, Ministry of Natural Resources also.
It's
Well, we have
about
to get the people. You see people ring and
It's
they say
our
we
right
want
to protest.
And then when we call for protest, you see a few people come and most people stay home and people are scared.
That's true.
If you don't have anything, what do you have to lose?
You know, this thing scared. I don't know what people scared about.
I don't know.
I don't know what you guys scared about. It's your wealth, uncle. It's your wealth. Nobody putting a gun to your head and carrying away your assets.
Caller, good evening and welcome.
Hi, good night, sir.
Good night.
Mr. Glenn, good night. Namaste to you.
Namaste.
You know what happened? Miss forget about your credit for that. Ask your question for that. Now, what I like to ask you is not something about politics or whatsoever. Now, I would like to ask you if you can highlight in the air that the Amalia Falls project,
Yeah.
if it can be abandoned like the Karen Sugar Factory, the White Elephant way that.
Yeah.
But that you Thank you.
Did you hear it? He said he wants to know if you think
Thank
the
you.
Amalia project is going to be abandoned like the other white elephants, the skeleton factory.
No,
the rest of it.
no, this Amelia Falls project will not be abandoned. This Amelia Falls project is tying the citizens of this country to a deal that we have to take it. Whether we take it or we don't, we have to pay. We have to pay that money every year
Yeah, well, Glenn,
for the next 20 years.
Glenn, it's better if you pay the 700 million one time and done, rather than be paying over 2 billion over 20 years. So it might just.
But why are we going to pay $700 million for something that costs less than $200 million?
Exactly. For $300 million US, we could have one solar in Demerara, one in Berbice, and one in Essequibo for $300 million US.
Exactly. And you have several international companies that are willing to come here.
But hold on one
To
second.
do that.
Let me explain to you why there's a hydrology risk. There's something you don't know. I'll tell you. They cannot make a bigger reservoir because there's 3 other rivers. There's 4 other rivers around here, right? It's on top of the escarpment, and there's 4 other rivers where they cannot build. For them to build a bigger reservoir, they have to dam 4 other rivers, which is the cost is going to be almost a couple of $1 billion more. So they cannot have a huge reservoir, which is why there is the hydrology risk.
Yeah, but the hydrology risk, why is it on Guyana? You understand what I'm saying?
Well,
You are building, Bernard, you are building a project, a hydro project next door to supply me with electricity in me house. Okay? I am going to sign a 1-week contract with you. You can't generate electricity because rainfall. How that become my risk? You understand what I'm saying? How that become my risk?
I have a better
Which moron would settle for something like that?
I have a better question for you.
Yeah.
Countries do PPP, public-private partnership risk, when the countries don't have money, right? Why we have our natural resources? We have $630 million US in our NRF. Why aren't they using that money to build our solar? Why we have to get PPP project? That's a better question.
That's a beautiful question.
That's a question for you. You involve PPP project where the country don't have the money, so the investors the money, and over the time they get back the money. But we have $630 million US in our NRF. Why don't we take? Okay, they call it $700. Why we take $630 million build a hydro for ourselves?
1 second. No, that's a beautiful point you raised there. We don't even have to take our oil money and build hydro.
Well, I know
We can do solar.
Well, of course, that's what I said earlier.
Which is far cheaper,
Risk-free.
risk-free, and better for all Guyanese.
Right, well, it shows.
And all we need to take, like the man said, is 300 million out of the 600 and something million we get, and done this electricity bill
and we
and
don't,
this electricity issue
Right,
and blackouts.
and the people of the country will have free electricity for the next 40 to 50 years because
Exactly.
the natural resource fund belongs to the people of the citizens of Guyana.
Exactly.
And why can't I'll tell you why, Glenn? I'll tell you why the Guyanese citizens cannot understand that. Do you have any idea that the average IQ of Guyanese is 87? The average IQ of Guyanese is 87, right? Which you know for IQ of 80, if you go to court matter, and you can prove your IQ of 80, you are not responsible for your actions. Guyanese are functionally illiterate, sir. If 85% of your university graduates leave your country, who does it leave? It leaves the idiots, which is why the PPP and PNC are having a field day, because they have a captive audience who are almost functionally illiterate. They could do what the hell they please and nobody will say anything.
I hear you, thank you, but I don't want to. I don't want to put down my people like that.
We are not putting on people.
I want to, Bernard, I want to, listen to me. I want to stick to this subject matter of hydro. that will supply electricity to only a section of Guyana.
Hydro is Ponzi scheme. Put the
Yes.
by the right name. Call by
Yes,
the
but-
Ponzi hydro scheme.
Yeah, but let me touch back to what you have said. If President Ali take half the money we get in the oil that they throw in this budget, that can eliminate blackouts for generation to come. And we don't have to worry about this thing. But the reason why they wouldn't do that, it is because they want to take all the oil money, throw them into the budget, and huff out 3/4 out of it for them pocket through inflated projects.
Okay, one other thing.
Wait, I ain't finished. Please, I ain't finished. On the other hand, they're selling this hydro project, okay, to Guyana because it's a personal Ponzi pocket scheme, okay? And if they see that the nation is dumb, can't see what's coming their way, man, they'd rob you. And they've been doing that for years. All of them do it.
Okay,
The
let-
PPP did it, the PNC did it, the AFC did it.
Okay, Glenn. Okay, one other thing. $300 million will give us 3 times 170, 3 times what Barbados have, which is 534 megawatts, right?
Right.
170 megawatts for the $100 million, $300 million is 534 megawatts.
Yes.
Well, the gas to shore project and the Amalia Falls is 250 and 160 is 415 megawatts.
Exactly.
Both the gas and the gas to shore is in excess of 1.3 billion, right? Plus the Amalia Falls is 2 billion, which is 3.3 billion. So for 3.3 billion US dollars, Guyanese are paying 3.3 billion dollars. We have in 415 megawatts for 3.3 billion US dollars. Whereas 300 million, with 1/10 of that, would give us 534 megawatts in the 3 different counties.
Bernard, both projects, they're getting catch with a close off. You understand what I'm saying? Both you're right when you say that 1 second. Yes, you're live on the air, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Emmanuel Joseph.
Yes, sir.
I spoke with you a few weeks back. I'm calling, it's an international call, and I'm calling from an undisclosed location.
You're live on the radio, sir. Let's get going.
Yes. I have an idea that I think if you implement it, it might be able to strategize your program with the picketing. Can you organize an economic team and have them design an economic package that can be of benefit to the Guyanese people, whereby when we get control of the economic situation in Guyana, whatever international investor that may want to commit to invest in Guyana, a percentage of the earnings will be allocated to the citizen of Guyana. What you do within the agreement package, a percentage of the project must be allocated for every citizen of Guyana to benefit from. I think if you can structure a program like that for the Guyanese people to see where they will get a long-term benefit, it will enhance what you are doing and people will mobilize around you. The world is watching you, Mr. Lall. I'm living overseas and I am mad, I am crazy with what's going on in Guyana. I want the Guyanese people to know where I am. There is millions of US coming out of Guyana. It is sourced from Guyana to the US and it goes all over the world. Some goes to Latin America, goes to Europe, to Asia. Guyanese are being robbed left, right, and center.
I hear you.
And we
I hear you.
need to get serious and get our act together.
I hear you.
The
Mr.
people
Joseph?
who are in charge of Guyana affairs, they have no interest in Guyana, just themselves.
I hear you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Bernard, I want to touch back on what you said there.
Go ahead.
The projects, both projects will expose them for who they are. both this hydro project and the gas to shore project, right? And like you said, Mia Motley of Barbados is putting down 178 megawatt
400
for $100 million, and we putting down 165 for 700 million. But of course, the 700 million is not ours as per se.
Of course.
But just in case, God forbid, you get an earthquake or a tremor, Guyana will pay the 700 million. That's another risk we have on our hands.
One other quick thing, Glenn.
Yeah.
I don't mean to disrespect my fellow Guyanese citizens. It's just a fact of life under the 28 years of dictatorship and the 23 years of whatever you want to call it, right? The Guyanese people are poor. Your brain development, the first 18 months of your life, of a baby's life, that's where your brain develops. If you don't have proper nutrition for the rest of your life, your brain is not properly developed. Our lovely leaders got $630 million US dollars. You can't even take 1/10 of that 63 million, not even $6 million US dollars, and give the prenatal, the pregnant females with babies and school feeding program. They can't find it to give a school feeding program for every single school child, right? I mean, what kind of people we have leading? They have no human, they have no love for the fellow citizens.
Well,
Guyana is full of poor people. Like you said, I'm not disrespecting Guyana. The Guyanese people are poor. The world knows Guyanese people are poor. They need food. Why can't you take out of $630 million US dollars? You can't take 6 million or 16 and give the Guyanese people, give poor people food to eat, man. These are heartless people, man.
Well, I want to tell you this. If they take 50 million out of the 600 million, they can double all the public servant salaries and all the 65,000 pensioners they have in this country.
Yes.
Double those people package. Yeah, Ray, go ahead.
I've heard you ask politicians far and wide several times to come on your program.
Oh, I've done that many times.
And they have chosen to go on mapped interviews with specific people and persons. Now, when you put them together, what do you get?
Yeah. I said,
When you put those two together, those two questions, what do you get?
I don't
Politicians that don't give a damn about us.
well, I see a set of clowns. That's all I can tell you.
Because
if our politicians
if you choose not to answer questions, that are being asked of you,
By your citizens.
by your no. But by the people who voted for you, you should be honored.
Exactly.
You should be. Let me tell you. When you're elected to lead, you should feel privileged.
Yes. The people that trusted you.
Exactly. So why is it that they're refusing to come on your program and answer legitimate questions and concerns of this population?
Because they cannot defend.
They cannot.
Defend the indefensible, sir.
You can't defend these things.
Defend
Right?
the indefensible. How are they going to defend it? It's
Right.
indefensible.
But they're shameless because they're having these mapped interviews
Ray,
and they're putting it
go ahead.
out in the public, which means they're shameless.
But they are not getting the hard questions. The real questions they're not getting. They're getting softballs.
It's not
That's what I'm saying. They're shameless because
It's not that they're not getting the hard questions. It's that they choose not to go where the hard questions are.
Exactly.
Somebody says
Yes.
here, what is the size of the reserve that they will build and what is the cost of it?
Well,
The reservoir is 20-something square kilometers, which is a joke. 26 square kilometers is a joke for a reservoir.
yes, but a reservoir they're going to build, Ms. Harris, or to the individual that asked that question, basically has nothing to do with us. What we are concerned with and what we all should be concerned over is the risk we have. And Jagdev is saying, proud to say that the people are going to build this massive reservoir. Well, if they're going to build this massive reservoir, that they will not run out of water to generate electricity.
Mr. Lall, if they come on this program to defend the program.
One second. if they're building this huge reservoir, that they will not run out of water to generate electricity, why Guyana taking these risks?
But that's the point. If they are building big one, they should take the risk.
Jagdev should take the risk personally if he want.
If they ever come on this program to defend that project, let them bring the practical demonstration for you. Because I have worked in that area. I've worked in Cobrang, and I know they cannot have enough water for more than 5 months.
Coming off the escarpment.
Well,
They will not have enough water for more than 5 months.
Well, this is why the risk is thrown us.
Exactly.
So if
Exactly.
if and when they can't generate electricity, you still have to pay them.
Thank you.
Still gotta pay them. Shut up and pay them.
Good observation.
So you will be paying for something that you can't even see with the thing they're supposed to give you to see, which is electricity.
We have a caller here.
What a guy.
But now I just said
Caller,
there,
good
how many
evening.
rivers there are.
1 second. Caller, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, good.
This Amalia, right?
Well,
This art, this
good night to you in the panel. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
When we are in park in Meter, we see a whole heap of big heads out in the streets. I want to know this, right? When was it they got in place to reverse the people them from making nice over GPL, GWR, old age pension, NIS, and sugar workers? What program you got in place that you could distract them from that and let them focus on this oil issue?
Let it focus on the.
Yes.
Well, I've been trying to get these people every day in the newspapers. We are talking almost every program. I'm saying, when are we going to get them to say something about this massive oil wealth this country has unearthed?
Secondly, right, look, I recently see a fellow on the comic show we call it Critic, the same comic, stating that he got a problem over some land where the court put a hole in the land since 2013 over cow, and there's a dispute between he and his fellow cattle miner, right? But this is it. The oil much more bigger than that. Why they don't put that aside now?
Exactly.
I went on the streets, you know. Why they don't come now and put the numbers in the street, knowing that they ain't gonna have to fight over cow? And when this thing is mobilized, you're gonna have to worry with NIS disorder and the sugar workers.
My friend.
And wherever.
My friend.
I want, hold on, Glenn. I wanted a system that could push that side and deal with getting this contract rearranged. And it could only rearrange when the numbers speak in the streets. Just how we had big heads making nice about this parking meter. I want to answer this particular question. Will the people and the making nice over the parking meter come out in the number? What do they know?
Well, I don't know. Maybe some of them disappear. But
you know what's sad about this politics? Listen,
my friend,
I can't stop listening to this.
My friend, my friend, my friend.
I want to know how you the only elite and the only person, as you just say, so blessed. Recently you're complaining, nothing happened to you, but now you're falling. Well, I don't want to get into where you fall into, right? But you get sick of it. Why none of them in joining you? And from me, I know for a fact, you have got to do it. But why nobody else in joining you, man? What the whole thing needs is proper leadership skill, you know. And you alone can't do it, Glenn, in terms of leading.
I hear you. My friend, you're on the right track and you have the right spirit. Keep it up, and the fight has now begun. It's only now begun. It's a long road ahead. And let me repeat this thing to you. Let me repeat it to all Guyana. What we are doing here at the Kaieteur News, my staff and I, many oil producing countries took 40 years to understand what I am saying here today in this young stage of our oil industry. So It's a long road ahead, and the fight has to continue every day.
I want to ask one more
Wait.
question and then I can
Hold.
question.
Me
Yes.
and you may not be here, but our children will pick up where we left off. All right? So
Yes.
keep
I
on the
accept this,
fight.
right?
Keep it up. It's a good
But
fight.
hold on, Glenn. I got one more question I want to get clear up, right? One more question. You're the only businessman that's financially standing strong got a problem with this contract.
Lovely question.
No,
Laugh, man. Because I know you ain't got to do it, friend.
my
You
friend.
ain't got what? When you could pay a man, listen, when you could pay a man 74 million and still carrying a building like you got on Regis Street every day, I know you ain't got to do it. And I know that got others like you who wealthy like you, they ain't got a problem with this contract. We need ring fencing to get mobilized upon leadership to carry this fight, Glenn. You alone can't do it.
I hear
See why
you.
you die over this thing. Carlos tell the president to come to.
I hear you. I hear you.
Anyway, good night, man.
Good
I
night.
just
I
think
hear
that
you.
back, man.
I hear you, and I could feel the passion in you. Yes, I could feel it in you. That's the kind of energy I want, man.
Yes.
That type of energy
Definitely.
energizes me.
Yes.
All right.
You need people to hear.
But you asked some nice small questions there, and I don't want to keep repeating myself, man. If people don't listen, every single Guyanese is hurt as to what is taking place in this country, my friend, with this oil well. All of us should have been rich, or all of us should have been wealthy already.
Are well on the way to it.
Exactly, or well on the way, like Ms. Harris said, to it. But people just afraid to come out and say something. Like I said, some of the business people, most of them, want a piece of the pie. And if they come out and say anything, they are afraid that they will not get a piece of the pie, and
They'll be victimized.
they'll be victimized. I talk to public servants who understand, who would like to join the protest. Guess what? They say, Glenn, I don't want to lose my job. I say, okay, no problem. But I understand. But it's people like me and you who are fearless, of course, to an extent, that, hey, we gotta push this fight
Yeah, but Glenn, they could,
and hope that people follow us.
yeah, but Glenn, they could send their children. They don't have to, if they're afraid to lose their job, send your children. Right? They can't victimize your children.
Look, in the face of
You
all
know-
these questions,
You
in
know,
the face of-
one second. You know, I smile when you say send the children.
It's the children's future at stake too.
A friend of mine said, Glenn, I can't come out. And I said, well, if you can't come out, just send a couple of people on.
Exactly.
He said, he called me back. He said, you know what? I can't get people to come out.
You get children.
He gonna send me the money for me to pay people to come out. I said, no. Keep your money. keep your money. What do you mean you can't find? You can't come out, I understand that. You can't find people to come out. You don't have employees to come out.
Exactly.
You know?
You have children.
So, you just leave him like that.
Look, in the face of all these questions being asked by Guyanese in all walks of life, right? I think Guyanese people should be concerned that politicians are not coming forward to answer those questions. And this is it. Have we transitioned from a democracy to something else?
No. We can't go. We
No.
can't.
Have we transitioned from a democracy to something else, Mr. Lall?
No, it's still a democracy.
I don't want to. I don't want to
Of course
even.
it is.
I don't even want to think down that road, man. No.
Anyway, somebody
Well-
says here, if you're done with that.
Yes, I finish.
Jack Deo, I want you to come on the Glenn Lall show and have a debate with the Guyanese people. Tell them about the full coverage insurance. Tell them about what's going to happen with the Yellowtail project. We want to hear from you, and we want you to answer the hard questions. Oil is making money now. Why isn't Guyana making money now? Why are you guys giving away this oil money and then going to beg for money?
That's a beautiful question. These are not hard questions, my friend. Those are simple questions. Jack Dale can hold back this Ford project and demand a lot of changes for this country, for every citizen of this country. Why is he not doing that? You know?
Yep.
Look, today we carried a story in which Vincent Adams said when he was at the EPA, when he was heading the EPA, that ExxonMobil, and it's documented, promised to furnish the EPA and the government of Guyana full cover insurance and so many other things, and they haven't. And he is surprised that Vice President Jagdeo allowed ExxonMobil to begin pumping oil in Liza 2, without getting what they promised. So that tells you right away there that we are dealing with a bunch of con men who would only promise you things in writing but don't deliver. And why Jagdeo is not holding up these documents in front of their face and say, listen, you can't pump anymore until you give Guyana what you agreed to. Hence, Mr. Vincent Adams is calling on Jagdeo to halt Liza 2 from pumping oil. And that's fair. Because if you promise to give me something before you make a step into my home and you didn't bring it, you can't enter my home. Isn't that fair?
Glenn,
And isn't that simple?
Glenn, you always your tail wagging a dog. What you expecting is not gonna happen. It's not Jagdeo is in charge. It's ExxonMobil is in charge, sir.
Well, I don't know, my friend. Where are the questions, man? I even go so far to tell the politicians, you don't want to come? Send your people. You don't want to send your people? Send the questions there and let me answer. If you feel whatever Glenn Lall is saying, you can defend, send your answers there.
If you're refusing to answer questions from your population, you're stripping them of their dignity.
Exactly. I agree with that.
Listen to me, Glenn, right? And you're telling the population that you have total control and you can do what you want. Now,
to an extent, yes. And
now,
the people of this country is allowing that. Well said.
Exactly.
Well, that's what we're living in. That's the reality we're living
Now, why is it that our basic rights to question authority is being thrown in our face, back in our face?
I want to agree with you, and I want to disagree with you on that, because as much as I agree with you on they're throwing it in our face, the country, this country, the culture of our people, you know, they're so much inclined towards their political leaders. It's like they will do anything for them, man.
They make their leaders gods. They act
Yeah,
as if they are
they
gods.
do make them
Because these are rights. These are rights that we were born with. These are rights that's being defined by nature, handed to
It's
us.
in the Constitution also.
So, no. The key to leadership is that you must be among your people, feel them, listen to them. Do our leaders do that? That's what I'm asking you. Have we transitioned from a democracy to something else? This is key. This is key. If you cannot sit with your people, live among your people, you know, feel your people, then we have no leader.
No. I have one quick question. Exxon subsidiaries, the subsidiaries oil company got 20-something million US dollars VAT exemption last year. 20-something million. How much food could that feed poor Guyanese in 1 year?
20-something million US
20-something
dollars.
million US in last year alone. And this year is going to be more.
20-something million US dollars is 50% salary increase for all the public servants.
I have a better question.
Can we
How
li-
much would the 720 million in taxes that we give away feed Guyanese?
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
700.
I have a better question.
20.
Exxon's profit was 11 times our budget. Exxon's profit was 11 times our budget. And our vice president
Why are we
still
doing
want to incentivize them.
Yeah.
Exactly. By giving away the taxes and all this.
And we still paying the taxes. If the profits are
So
down,
no,
why
no.
we pay the taxes?
Why are we sitting down and accepting those things? That's the question.
Well, that is
I will.
why we'll
Well,
be
I am
protesting
sitting
on
here,
Thursday.
and I think I am speaking to a whole country. I want you. We have to ask that question to the people of this country.
The people are
Why are they
fighting
sitting
it.
down? Guys, Josh,
Yes, sir.
I see you signaling me to get off the radio. I just want to tell you guys, do have a great weekend,
Wait, one
and
last
God
thing.
bless you.
One
You have-
last thing, we're
you have-
doing this protest on Thursday, the 10th of March, in front of the High Court. We will stage a peaceful picket as the case concerning the tax exemptions will be heard. If it's virtually or if it's at the court, we're still going to have a protest at the court. 9
All right.
a.m. Thursday, 10th of March.
Well said.
All right.
All right, I'm with it. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.